Hi, friends, it's Isabel, your life coach, and my mission is to help stretch your mind to see what's possible in your life and get you one step closer to achieve it. So, today I want to share a few thoughts on overwhelm. We all know what that feels like, we've all been there, and I've been there just yesterday. And I'll share that story in the end, so stay tuned. But overwhelm can come from different life situations, right? Let's say you're moving, okay, or you're visiting family that's not easy to get along with, or you're in a difficult relationship with a spouse or in laws or child, okay? Maybe it's very frustrating at work, okay? Those are just life situations. Another sort of overwhelm could be just because we procrastinate. I know how to do that. But I also know the steps of how to get out of it. And it really takes focus. And focus is my word for the year. Look at that. I'm teaching myself not to procrastinate. Okay, always have to teach myself first before I teach you. So I'm going to show you some examples. Um, Sorry, my doggy is knocking at the door. So overwhelm is just something we exactly know what it feels like, and we think it's too much, right? It's just too much. I can't handle this. And if you've listened to me before, you know that I like to take the thought away from the situation. So if you worked with me, you would describe your situation, and then I would ask you your thoughts about this and your feelings and your actions and results. So often our thoughts to us are the truth, but they might not be the truth to everybody else. For example, okay, if I say I'm too old for this, okay, if I asked my best friend if that's true, she might have a totally different answer. Let's say whatever I want to do at my age, right? I'm gonna start rollerblading. Okay, silly example. And I'm like, I'm too old for this. And I think that is the truth. But my friend is like, hey, I know you're good with this. I know you can do this. You're not too old for this. I know a 70-year-old who's rollerblading. Okay, so it's not always the truth. Um, we think it is because we believe it. So I encourage you to do a few things, okay? So, first of all, write everything down on a piece of paper, a real piece of paper with a real pen. Okay, it's really helpful because something happens in our brain when we actually write it down. So take a piece of paper and write down all your thoughts, all of them. There's nobody else looking at this paper. Nobody is coming with a red pen. Nobody's editing. Nobody needs to know. It's just you. And it's quite interesting what comes out of that paper sometimes. And that in itself can be overwhelming, but it helps in the process of dealing with the overwhelm. So stay with me. So you write down all your thoughts, then you look at them. Right? You take everything out of your brain and you put it on paper. You write everything down. It's your first step. First step is to pause. Then you write everything down. Then you look at those thoughts, all of them. Okay? No judgment on any of them. No judgment, right? Your next step is to question all those thoughts. Are they true? Every single one of them. Is it true? Ask yourself with everything you wrote down, is it true? Just challenge yourself. It's a good exercise, trust me. Okay? And then also picture if you can come up with that answer, if you say, of course it's true, right? Because we believe it. Picture yourself asking your best friend, how would they answer? Would they say it's true? If you say to yourself, I can't handle this, it's too much, would your best friend say that? Okay? So if you can come up with the answer, just envision asking your best friend. Maybe somebody else has a better opinion of you than you do. Imagine that. Happens often, right? So that's one step, right? You just ask yourself, is that true? And never any judgment on whatever you wrote down, okay? And if you need help with that, this is what I'm good at. I help you with that. I'll help you with separating the thoughts from the feelings and all that. I help you with writing it all down, and then we walk through it, right? Just this morning, I helped one client walk through one emotion, and it was a very big one. But by the end, I helped her feel it. I helped her process the emotion because it triggered the word that she had written down on paper, triggered some deep emotions. So immediately I switched into let's process this emotion. We can't move on before we do that. Okay? So, some examples. Okay? There's a lot to say about overwhelm. I'm just going to go easy today and just do some examples. Okay? So, let's say you have a really long to do list. Who doesn't? And if you're like me, you probably have taken this one or two things, three things more from the to do list of today and swapped it over to tomorrow's to do list. Okay, so let's say you have a really long to do list. Okay, what really is beneficial in that instant? First of all, look at your thought. Are you telling yourself it's too much? I can't handle this. It's too much. I can't do this. Let's look at that thought first. Is that true? Probably not. You can do this, right? So when you have a long to-do list, choose one thing, the most important thing from that list. Choose one, okay? Just one item, and focus on that one, and then add an action to that, okay? And after you come up with the action, put that action in your calendar, right? Tonight, tomorrow, I don't know, declutter this, write that email, call a friend, whatever you need to do on that to-do list, okay? Let's say it's a difficult relationship with your spouse, your in-laws, your child, children. Okay, I had one client with trouble with her adult daughter. Um, Sometimes in-laws always come up, and again, God help me, I'm a mother-in-law now. Um, so if it's a difficult relationship, choose on one action because the whole situation can just feel too overwhelming. Okay? It's just always been difficult. There's no help inside, there is no relief inside. Okay? So the whole relationship seems overwhelming. I get it. Okay? I promise you it doesn't have to stay that way. Choose one action. One action that would make the situation better. And it's not something that the other person will do, it's something you will do. And your first step, as always, is call me, message me. Okay, if that's what you need, if you need help, write to a therapist, write to a coach, and I'll explain that another time, the difference, okay? Um, but do one action, get help, okay? Or choose to do one thing that makes the situation better if you know what that is. If you don't know what that is, if it's too overwhelming, and I get that sometimes you can't step outside of your own self and outside of your own situation, get somebody from the outside. They got two fresh new eyes, fresh new perspective, and if they're trained like a coach or therapist, they can help you. Okay, first step, choose one step, and if that is to call somebody, do that. Message me. That's what I love to do. Okay, let's go to the third example, right? First one was a long to-do list, second one was a difficult relationship, the third one is a frustrating work situation. Okay, it's always been like that. It's just getting worse. I can't stand the coworker, the boss, whatever, okay? One step and it's just an option, okay? Of course you can also get a coach. You can also get help. You can also write down everything. There's many things to do. But one thing that was very helpful, envision yourself in that situation in the future and decide how you will show up in that situation. Okay? Ahead of time, you know what they will say. You know your coworkers, you know your boss, you know what they will say or do that gets on your nerves. You know it. You've been through it. Again, you're on that hamster wheel. You know it. You could tell me, this is what they said, this is what they do, it goes on my nerves, right? It's the hamster wheel. I challenge you, envision yourself in the future, the next time you're in that situation. How do you want to handle it? Same as always? Then you'll get the same result. You want to switch it up? How do you want to show up in that situation? Do you want to be calm? Do you want to be just chill and not take it in too much? How do you want to show up? And then practice that, envision that. It's very powerful. Okay? Um, so all these situations just take one step. That that in itself takes a lot of the overwhelm away. And I promised to my email list that I will explain a situation that happened to me just yesterday where I didn't do what I just asked you to do. And I let the overwhelm stay. I didn't process my feelings. And it was supposed to be a happy occasion. I recently got a kayak and then I borrowed some. So there were five of us going kayaking. And I let, um, I let something that somebody said um, before we even left. It was like a, yeah, like a negative statement, and I let it sink in, and I made it personal, and I didn't process it. Guess what I did? I felt crabby myself because I let that sink in, and I made it part of myself. Ever done that? And you blame it on the other person who said something that sounded negative or crabby, and we think by acting crabby it goes away. It doesn't. It just made the whole trip worse. Ask my kids. um, I just didn't process it. I made it personal. Everything I tell you not to do. I kept that emotion, and because of that, the whole trip felt overwhelming. It just was my emotions were not balanced. I wasn't calm. I wasn't happy. I could not enjoy the trip, and then I decided to even give my one of my children a consequence because of something else that happened that triggered me even more. And I'm not proud about that, but I just want to show you this happens in my life, and I know how much calmer I can be. I know how much happier I can be if I use all these tools, if I process my emotions, if I don't take it personal, if I had just um, separated myself from that situation and thought for a moment, hey, this is not about me. I'm going to enjoy my day. So and so can have whatever opinions they're having. It doesn't have to be mine. I don't have to take it on, right? If you have coached with me, you know I teach you that. So, of course, later on, I had to apologize. And it just made me aware that if I don't do this daily, this is who I am. Not a nice sight, not a pretty sight. You don't want to be around me when I don't process my emotions and when I don't prioritize and when I don't focus and when I don't separate myself from the situation. Because I take it all in and it becomes just one whole mess of emotion, and it's not pretty. I know you have seen it. I know you've experienced it, and I can tell you this is like a rare occasion for me to act like this now because in the habit of usually I'm in the habit of processing my emotions when they come up. It's much easier that way. I promise you. It's much easier when you deal with it the moment they come up. And I will put a link in the notes about my free PDF on how to process emotions because you need to do that. When you write down all the things that are on your mind that are overwhelming you and you write them down and you look at them and you get triggered and like my client this morning, you feel big emotions, do that first. Process those emotions and then take the one step. Then look at it, ask yourself, is it true? And then take one action. I hope this made sense. If you have any questions, I welcome your questions anytime. Message me, okay? If you would like, if you have a topic that you would like me to cover, please let me know and write below a takeaway, something that, like an aha moment, something that made sense to you, or if you've experienced any of the above steps. If you need help with anything, message me. Okay, I'd love to walk you through this. Okay, see you next Monday, and you are loved, deeply loved, loved beyond measure. Bye, friends.